So, this is, we watched finally the last of the prequels.
Thank God.
And we're about to start the sequels.
No comment.
Before we get started, I wanted to, I had like 10 minutes of boredom this week, and I decided to take the rankings of every... It's not going to favor me, okay? I took the rankings of like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, CNET, everything from Mashable. There's a Reddit poll. Like I took about 10 different ones and I put like a 1 for which movie everyone thought was the best, and then all the way down to 9 for the worst. And then I averaged them out. So the number with the movie with the lowest number is the highest rated. And what's your guys' guess as to like the number one movie of the 9?
Empire Strikes Back.
It's either Empire or maybe Return of the Jedi.
So number 1 was a resounding Empire Strikes Back.
Not surprising.
No, yeah, I can see that. Number 2, A New Hope.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah. Number 3, The Last Jedi.
That's maybe higher than it should be, but okay.
Number 4, Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 5, The Force Awakens.
Okay.
6, Revenge of the Sith.
Sure.
7 was a tie for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
Which is
I agree with
odd
that.
because those are so far my 2 favorite, like up to the last week. And number 9 was Rise of Skywalker. A resounding number 9. Rise of Skywalker. Or Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
was
that's
the
going to
worst
be an
movie.
episode. We're going to talk about that when we
Yeah.
get there. It's the last one we have to do, but
That's
Yeah,
probably
but-
the one I'm not looking forward to the most.
I'm not looking
Both.
forward to that one either. But we'll
Yeah,
do it.
I'm kind of like a little bit interested now in the bad ones, apparently, because so far I've liked the bad
Well,
ones for entertainment value.
Well,
Right.
that's the
Not
thing.
because they're good movies, but for
Yeah,
pure
I wouldn't say
entertainment.
they're the best movies ever, but I thought they were entertaining. Is what I've been kind of judging it by.
I feel like based on consensus of like how like some of those like Disney trilogy ones are rated like better than the prequel ones, I think because you like the prequel ones, you're going to appreciate the Disney ones so much more. Just based on what you like about movies.
Just
and
in
that,
terms of like, there's a lot going on. It's entertaining.
Entertainment value.
yeah.
And that's the thing. So I've before we get it, I'm gonna put my glasses on because I can't see the camera.
Oh, that lasted.
I have terrible vision, so last before we get fully into the movie, I have been doing a lot of reflecting on, like I kind of hinted at last week, like what do I like in a movie, and like why am I liking these movies over what everyone seems to prefer, you know, in the originals. And I think I've truly been watching these with kind of like a kid watches a movie, in the sense I'm just watching it for what it is. I'm not thinking about it. I haven't been doing much thinking, even though I've taken some notes and stuff. I just kind of just been watching it, and if I get bored, I'll say that's not a good movie, and if I'm not bored, it's a good movie. It's kind of like...
Yeah, that's like a kid. Yeah.
It is, but I mean, that's not how I watch every movie, but
Sure.
that's... I just thought I thought that was the best way to give it a clear... like a fresh opinion on the movies.
Okay.
But I've realized like that's not necessarily the most honest approach or necessarily the best way, because that's not necessarily how I watch movies. So I have committed, we're not going to necessarily do a podcast now, but I have committed to rewatch the entire series after it's done.
Yeah, I'm not doing another podcast again on the same movie.
No, but we could, like, if there's something like revolutionary, maybe
We'll
might do it like
give it some time, then
yeah. I'm going to give it, a few months, but then I plan to watch the whole series, because I'm already starting to, like, you guys have been talking a lot about, the dialogue and the lines and stuff. So I've really started to tweak it a little bit and start to be a little more critical. But then I don't know, like I found watching Revenge of the Sith, we'll get into it, but I found I was distracted enough with the movie that I wasn't really thinking again. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little more analytical. And then I just got interested in the movie. Like there were things going on. I kind of get wrapped up in it, and I just kind of watched it for what it was.
So, did you have a prediction for this movie?
I did.
Let's do that real fast.
Okay. Before I do, what did you guys think of this movie?
Chad, you can go first.
It's. Hold on, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry.
Thanks for blowing out the audio, Chad.
Like it's probably the best of the trilogy. Maybe. I don't know. I'm reading Kyle's face now, trying to be like,
Oh,
I don't care.
I haven't said what
anyone else thinks. Yeah.
like again, this has nostalgia value for me. But yeah, it's probably one of the better ones. There are some emotional
Just reading my.
parts to it that I think I watched it this time. I was like, oh, it kind of got me.
Yeah.
So
I predict that this is your favorite of the trilogy too.
Damn it. Okay, so a little backstory. I've seen this movie, including this review, rewatching it for this, about 9 times.
Wow.
I've probably
Really?
seen this more than you've seen Phantom Menace. It's the
Really?
first one. It's the only Star Wars movie I ever saw in theaters. Because when I initially rewatched them all, well, the first time I ever watched them when I was like 13, it was in anticipation of this movie.
I saw this one in theaters too. This
Yeah.
was the first one I did.
So I've gone back and forth of whether I dislike it or I like it. But on this most recent one, I can honestly say that I like the movie.
Yeah.
I actually think it's by far the best of the prequels. By far. And I'll get into that, but we talked about like what's a good movie for us personally, and I said like action, special effects, like story structure, character. Mm-hmm. To me, it meets all the minimums of those. So it's not a perfect movie or even necessarily great, but I think it's pretty good.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read my
Well,
prediction and then I'll
Okay.
say. So, the Sith Lord makes Darth Vader from Anakin Skywalker and is used to defeat Boba Fett. Oh, my youth.
Yeah, before you knew better.
Darth Maul dies at the hands of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Wow, the two characters who die super early are still in the...
Yeah.
Hold on, before you continue, I feel like you just had like you threw in as many buzzwords as you could that were like Star Wars buzzwords.
Yeah.
Like
What else are you
Maybe.
supposed to do if you never saw the movies?
I guess, but you said like I know what this is. Like, yeah.
Luke is born before the end of the movie in a sick, twisted world where Princess Leia is his mother.
You've made no edits to these since you originally...
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
That's everyone's got to remember that. I'm not like predicting this movie from the last
Yeah.
one. This was like before I even knew anything about Star Wars. I'm really curious about the sequels, what I wrote, because I forget completely what I wrote. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
interested.
There's lots to go on with the sequels.
She is impregnated just before Anakin becomes Darth. It wasn't Darth's choice.
She's impregnated, and immediately the helmet comes out.
That's not what I meant, but that's funnier.
Did you like that?
That was a terrible Darth Vader voice.
Yeah.
That's staying in.
It wasn't Darth's choice to become an evil supervillain, and the audience is made to feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about in that, I think.
Yeah, so...
So why don't I talk about what I thought about the movie, and then we'll get into it.
Okay.
So I am completely undecided. I know that's very unhelpful for the podcast.
Really?
But I'm completely undecided. So I watched it. I was entertained. A lot of emotional moments. Highlights, not for good reasons, but the highlights would be obviously Anakin burning at the end. That's a very emotional scene. Him crawling
Yeah.
up it brings up
Yeah.
that killing the kids. Like what the
I knew,
frig is
I
that
knew,
doing in the
I
movie?
knew, I knew.
I was
See,
watching that and I was like, Adam's not gonna.
when
like
we started
at
this,
all.
I'm like, when we get to Revenge of the Sith, Adam's gonna be like, he's gonna hate this.
They could have skipped over that and it would have been none the wiser. I mean, again, people make choices in
Yeah.
movies, that's fine, but to me, yeah. And like that's the first thing. That the first task we're gonna do is have you kill a bunch of kids instead of like
Yeah.
work them up to it. It's like
Well,
I think you're ready.
That's
go
why.
kill a bunch of
That's
kids.
why you
Like,
said sympathy. It's like you lose a lot of sympathy.
Oh, yeah.
a lot. You understand his reasonings, but you lose a lot of sympathy for him.
I think in that moment I lost. Like I was sympathetic up until even when he cut off Windu.
Mace
Windu.
yeah.
Yeah, even when he cut off his arm, what's with all the arms being cut off?
It's a
we
thing.
need an arm
It's a
count. We
thing.
need a hand count. How many hands have been cut off in the first 6 movies? But
We're not doing it now, Chad. We have a podcast.
At least
to do.
5. At least 5.
yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, even up to that point, I'm like, okay, he's clearly being like manipulated, whatever. But then that first task, he's just like, he goes full, like Darth Vader mode. Like I was like, whoa, that seems like
it does have the movie does have a lot of problems, but I do think it has some really, really strong moments.
Yes, I agree.
Can we just keep talking about this for right now?
For better or for worse, there's very high, like strong moments.
Talk about what?
Like his choices and all this. Like
I like his choices. Like I'm not sure what you mean.
I like him doing this. Like I feel like it's kind of cements his path. Like even if he's remorseful, I feel like he has nowhere to go now.
Oh yeah, there's no and it's forgiving that once you kill a bunch of kids.
But it kind of like informs like his choices of like the original trilogy, where it's like this is his way out when he decides to join Luke and
you see seeds of that in the end of this movie where it's like we can overthrow the Emperor. Like that's what happens in the Empire. I actually liked Anakin in the movie, aside from the child murder. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna get behind that. But like, I feel like him struggling between the light and good, I feel like was so much better handled in this movie than the other ones. Like the movie does. I complain about there's no showing. It's all telling and no showing. This, even the first, like the opening with the battle, like there's a lot of showing and not telling, and a lot of characterization just for him. But not to get too far ahead though. But what did you guys think of the opening, like the battle?
So my favorite action scene in the entire series so far is when they fly into the hangar and Obi-Wan Kenobi jumps out of his ship while the ship is still like skidding across the hangar, and he like immediately cuts down the droids. That's the coolest.
It took me out of it a little bit because it's clearly like a little CGI plug-in, like woo.
Yes.
But
I was like, oh, Obi-Wan coming back with his jumps and all that. And
aside from that little thing, I actually thought the CGI in this movie was actually really good for a 2005 movie.
Still the droids. There's still the clones. You can still see it.
That's what I meant by the moment. You can see it on the clones, but that first battle, I watched it and I'm like, this looks still really good.
Yes, the first, like the space battle, the dogfights look really good. Yeah,
I actually really like that first fight a lot because not only is it impressive, but like there's a lot of like characterization for Anakin where it's like there's parts where he's like, oh, I need to go help them, like they're clones, like he doesn't need to help them, and then there's a part where Obi-Wan's like, oh, go on without me, but like no, he like to me that's showing him doing good things.
Yeah, and it like kind of builds the relationship for like the end when they have that like the battle at the end.
Like everything in the fight with like Dooku with Anakin, like every single thing Dooku says is foreshadowing for the end of the movie.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
Good. Twice the pride, double the fall.
So just to finish off, the reason why I'm kind of so torn on it is because like there are parts I really liked. At the end of the movie, like I know they kind of had to do this, but I didn't like the fact that you left the movie feeling gross. Like Anakin, like it just like it's not the movie's fault. I guess it's just at the end of the day, like the way I felt when the movie shut off, I was like, I had more questions in my mind. I was like I was emotional in the sense I was upset like with what happened. Again, I knew it was going to happen, right? I knew it wasn't going to end on a high note.
It's by far probably the darkest of all the movies, right?
I would say.
Yeah. Even counting, because we've seen the sequels, this is still probably the darkest. Because it has child murder. I'm just thinking back to New Hope when Obi-Wan gives Luke the Anakin's lightsaber. It's like, oh, by the way, that murdered like 40 children. It's like, don't mind the blood. It's like, ugh.
So was that? So there's gonna be a lot I'm gonna have to like go back and rewatch. But did he say that was his father's lightsaber?
Yeah, Obi-Wan picks it up off the ground after Anakin gets burns up by lava. They have a shot of him picking up.
Yeah. But in the New Hope, did he say that this was his father's? Oh wow. Okay. I'm so curious because I didn't pick up on those details. I'm so curious to rewatch it all.
Yeah, it's not a mind-blowing detail, but no, there it is.
I have a feeling that I'm actually gonna like the originals more when I go back and watch them.
I feel like I said this a couple episodes ago where I was like, watching these prequels just makes me want to go back and watch the originals.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm going to be a lot more bored with Attack of the Clones than I was initially, because I was kind of like torn, like in the love scene and love scene, but like all of the romance stuff. When that was all going on, I was kind of like, okay, because I've explained that I was kind of seeing the dark and seeing the light and like creepiness, but I was trying to figure it out, so it was keeping me entertained.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm just gonna be like, oh, just
you might have had a point if more of that carried into the Revenge of the Sith, but it seems like a pretty normal. Like they still have awkward dialogue, but the romance seems a lot more normal.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it was just an idea he had. If that was his intent, he had an idea and just dropped it, or maybe it was always supposed to be just a Shakespearean romance and he just learned how to write it better. I don't know, but it's not as creepy.
There was just a lot less romance in it. That probably helps.
Sure.
Because if you took like maybe the highlights from Attack of the Clones, it might not be so bad.
Yeah, I think on this own, if you just watch this movie without Attack of the Clones and you saw that relationship, you're like, oh, that's a sweet relationship. But if you see Attack of the Clones, you're like, you know how it started. It started creepy and weird. It's almost kind of sweet in Revenge of the Sith, the scenes they do have together. So,
yeah, it's I actually have been surprised with how many twists got me by surprise throughout all of the movies so far, like all 6 of them.
The most spoiled movie of all time can still surprise you.
I know, and it's funny because like, I mean, you can hear my predictions. Like I'm way off. I assumed Boba Fett was like a main character. Nope. Like that's insane.
And Darth Maul too, and Qui-Gon.
Darth Maul. I know he was like the coolest looking supervillain of all time, and they just.
It's crazy how little Qui-Gon and Darth Maul had impact-wise on these movies.
Yeah,
they could have not just been in the movies at all.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, I was thinking about this. Phantom Menace doesn't even need to exist, really. There's no narrative things that really strongly carry over from it.
They would have been better stretching out Attack of the Clones into 2 movies. Not stretching out, but making 2 movies of that time.
I was going to say stretch out Revenge of the Sith and just any of the core story parts from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Just move those over. Yeah. It didn't need to be a trilogy.
It's funny that you guys are mentioning this because how many shows has Star Wars made about the Clone Wars and this time period specifically?
Yeah, and those shows focused on the interesting parts of it, and then the movies focus on an awkward romance.
And awkward CGI.
Yeah. And awkward CGI. Although not in this movie. I didn't think CGI was that bad.
I still personally, none of the movies have thrown me completely off CGI wise, other than in Empire Strikes Back or A New.
Well, that wouldn't be CGI then. That would just be practical effects.
The
special edition stuff.
Jabba the Hutt.
Okay, yeah.
The originals.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'd throw that in with prequel stuff because all that stuff was added in around the
Yeah.
time the prequels were being made. So
yeah. So, but if when they come out in theaters, if I had watched those, I'd feel like I wouldn't have been bothered too much by anything so far, which I was honestly expecting it to be terrible. I really was. So I've been pleasantly surprised through all 6 movies so far. That it's not the best I've ever watched, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
What do you think of in this story? They bring in this other new unknown villain, General Grievous,
the robot guy.
I don't.
But haven't they been doing that all along?
Yeah, I don't quite understand.
Disposable villain.
I don't quite understand why they did that through the prequels.
Just keep Darth Maul and build him up through the movies. It doesn't make any sense. Dooku gets axed in the beginning of this movie, no time to grow any of his character at all.
Yeah.
He's mostly just a pawn for Anakin's growth.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So I actually, I have a new favorite character so far, and it's Obi-Wan. Based on this movie. Now that I've seen up to this movie, we mentioned, obviously, in the originals, freaking Obi-Wan is garbage in those. But then when
it makes me appreciate him more, the old one, now seeing the younger one, though, a little bit.
Well, but meaning I meant the acting is bad and like Obi-Wan, there was nothing special I didn't find in the, maybe if I go back and watch them, but now Obi-Wan, you can see his personality a bit. You can see that he's not the best Jedi of all time, but he's clearly has heart. He has, wisdom for the most part. Clearly, he's skilled in combat, but I found their fight scene really interesting. How
the end one, you mean?
Yeah, I'm jumping around here, but
it's fine.
So what did you guys think about that? Because my opinion when I watched it, I was like, Obi-Wan just beat Anakin. I was like, I thought it was gonna be way more difficult.
Well, first of all, I think that fight goes on way too long, and I'm not a fan of it feels like the lightsabers don't have a lot of weight behind them. Everything's very fast.
I said
well,
this
probably because they don't, right?
But they always made it feel like they did in the other movies.
I think I said this in like when we were watching Return of the Jedi. Like it's like it looks like they put a lot of weight into it, and then it's just kind of like.
But I feel like it's even worse than this. Like there's like
Yeah,
it's like they're like
I agree.
It's like they have like a flare and they're just like ooh. And like before we got into the prequels, I complained about how I didn't like the lightsaber fights. But I think it was because I hadn't seen the movies in so long. Like lightsaber fights in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace aren't that bad on their own. But I think the reason I thought less of them is because I was always thinking of the end fight here. Because this is the one that has all the flips and twirls, which I hate. There's a part where the two of them are just spinning the lightsaber in front of them.
Yes.
What are they doing?
I noticed that. I noticed that too. I was like, what the heck is that? Like, I get the show and I get, like, for movies they're trying to do that, but there is 0 point in wasting energy.
No practical purpose.
Yeah.
And every time I think of prequel fight, I always think of that. Them spinning those lightsabers. I'm like...
Yeah, because honestly, like Phantom Menace and the opening stuff, like Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, like I thought, I mean, other than like deflecting bullets, I've discussed how I hated that stuff, but I thought this lightsaber fights were pretty cool. I did like Return of the Jedi's fight.
I did too.
Empire Strike Back's okay, but not my favorite.
And then we all read New Hope is the worst.
Oh, geez, that's not even.
Yeah, we shouldn't even count that when we rank them. But
no, and in fairness, like this was like a new technology movie-wise.
For sure.
They couldn't just do whatever they wanted.
they hadn't figured it out yet.
They couldn't bring in, Bruce Lee to organize a,
Was Bruce Lee
choreography.
known
for a sword
no,
fighting.
but well, he would have.
The equivalent, the sword fighting equivalent, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he would have choreographed sword fighting scenes, but
I guess.
mostly martial arts.
They
But
should've-
that type of thing, like they couldn't have brought in a choreographer and worked it out. It was the first movie. They didn't really know how the technology worked. I'm assuming visual effects and stuff. So anyway, I
Yeah.
forgive them in the first one, but like by the prequels, I was expecting it to be better, and I personally think it was better.
And about the fight and the last one, Revenge of the Sith, like it goes on for a long time. Every time it cuts back to them, we're in some new ridiculous situation. Like there's a point where they're swinging on chains and like they're hanging on like a ledge. They're on the lava on robots, which should have caught them on fire. And I'm like, oh, maybe they're using the Force. But then, Anakin catches on fire when he's about the exact same amount of length from the lava.
Yeah.
Plot lava.
This is like the factory scene in Attack of the Clones. Like it was pointless.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on that like.
Well, even
It's-
the fact that they're like still working, like that these whatever the Mustafar people in the droid, you see like aliens still working while
Yeah.
they're fighting. It's like, didn't Anakin just kill everybody and shut this down?
Yeah. Well, no. I think the Separatist leaders were just hanging out there. I think he just killed them.
Oh,
I actually have no idea what it's like where they fight in Phantom Menace. I have no idea what that factory is supposed to be or that building, but
they're harvesting lava.
sure, lava power. It's the way of the future. But like,
air.
sure, but like Mustafar is a cool setting at the very least for like
Yes.
a fight. There's never been a lava planet in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So like at least I can give them credit for that, but then they're fighting on top of lava and they're fine. I know I'm bringing the science in the prequels because George Lucas wants me to bring the science into the prequels, so he keeps throwing it in my face. So it bugged me a little bit. It burns you except when it does, and when it doesn't, it does.
Yeah. I thought there was like well enough of a story, or like you could feel like
You can feel the fight.
like a character's emotions through the fight. Like Anakin was obviously like just rage, and
Rage and arrogance.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan was like just trying to defend himself, trying to talk him down, and so
That's when I talk about like I don't like the Phantom Menace fight, like I wanted more of that. I wanted more like investment and like what's like more emotional storytelling in the actual fight. And you get it in this.
Yeah.
It's another reason I like the movie.
As far as Obi-Wan defeating Anakin, I can believe it though, because like he was his teacher. He taught him everything, like. And again, it's like Anakin's arrogance. Like he even calls him out.
Obi-Wan doesn't beat him. Anakin's own arrogance beats him.
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess when I think it through, that makes more sense.
It's perfect for his character arc that his arrogance was finally the death of him, and it goes back to what Dooku says at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
foreshadowing. Not
Well,
brilliant, but it's there.
Even like Yoda foreshadows it too about like talking about the Jedi's arrogance in Clone Wars too. I think there's like a couple of lines about it in that like
Like the show?
no, the Attack of the Clones. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Attack of the Clones when he's talking about when Obi-Wan's trying to find the Camino planet, the Clone Wars, the clone planet, you know? Mm-hmm. And he's there like, there's like he says a line about the Jedi are arrogant and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, that's one thing that surprised me a lot through these movies. So I expected the Jedi to be kind of like, sorry for the reference again, but the wizards in Lord of the Rings. Wise, always there, always making the right decisions, on the good side. The Jedis are a bunch of idiots.
Well,
like,
in the original trilogy, they're more like that.
yes, for sure, but it's like...
But you don't see enough of them either. In the
Yeah,
original
but so
trilogy.
think about this. Like when I first watched that, so I did see the Jedi as in a good light, but then in the prequels it sheds them like as like these terrible. But I guess it's kind of like a bunch of corrupt people, and then when they get wiped, they, the new birth of it kind of gets things a little better through Luke. So there's some interesting stuff there, but the one thing I really so some of my favorite moments were the emotions, for good or for bad, like in the movie. Like we've talked about that already, like just the emotions it creates in some of the scenes. My least favorite was definitely how jumpy it was. I found it very much like for instance, and I guess it made me realize how jumpy the other two were as well. In the sense that the relationship between Anakin and Padme.
Obi-Wan?
No, Emperor.
Palpatine.
The relationship between them, it's like Anakin every so often drops the line, like in the last movie and in this one, like he's the only one who cares. He's the one who listens. Like you don't see any of that. And I know, and so it took me a while to realize, but in this movie, it really like all of a sudden, like he's putting everything now into this. I mean, I know he was manipulating him and whatever.
Yeah, you get one scene in Attack of the Clones where they're like, oh, you're the only one I can count on, Chancellor. Like, they have one scene like that, and then they're never together the rest of the movie.
I found that hard to follow.
But I do like all their scenes together, Anakin and Palpatine. Like
for sure, but you see the development in this, but it made me realize how much worse the other ones were in terms of like making that.
That's why I think this movie.
So they just like sped it up in this movie.
This movie should have just been this movie. Like there shouldn't have been like two movies beforehand.
I think going back, you get rid of Phantom Menace, you start at Attack of the Clones,
sure,
you fix that movie, and then you split Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith into two movies. That's if you could fix the prequels, that would be.
I think you could do it in one, honestly. Like you could even almost streamline some of the things from Attack of Clones into Revenge of the Sith and get a good solid movie. It's like you don't get a crappy build up to an okay movie. You just get one okay movie.
Yeah. But I definitely have a favorite up to this. Favorite character is definitely Obi-Wan.
Did you realize that Palpatine is the same actor in the prequels as Okay, I just want to know. So
I have a lot of questions, and I'm assuming it won't ruin anything. So was he hiding his like true form, and then when he released all that energy, it just like, or did that just age him because
it deformed him?
Because he like fully gave into the dark side?
and then he shot the lightning, and then Mace used the Force and his lightsaber to reflect it back at him. So it's like a deformity. It's like dark Force corruption or something. Okay.
I thought it was maybe like he was hiding his true form the whole time.
It's never fully explained, as far as I know. But I always assume it was just he got deformed.
Hideous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It matches his personality.
Yeah. I felt like Padme could have played a bigger role in this.
She just hangs out at home the entire movie.
No, I get she's pregnant. She's not going to go running around, doing some crazy stunts.
It's like she gets a demotion every movie. Like Phantom Menace, she's queen. Attack of the Clones, she's center. She's the housewife.
And she was really good. Like I thought her character was great.
I heard
and then
something.
They don't use her.
I heard something. I was watching a video online, prepping for this, and they mentioned that apparently she was a bit of a diva, like on set. Natalie Portman, and so she kind of got written out a little bit. So that
wow.
Well, they made the most of it, I guess, if that was the case. But
I don't know if that's true either. But
yeah. They were so mad at her, they wrote the worst possible way a character could die. She died of a broken heart. Like,
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her.
She's dying.
Do you want me to bring the science into it?
is there science that
You can die of a broken heart.
really?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you certainly can lose health. Like you can be.
No, there's like literal like heartstrings are a real thing. They're called Purkinje fibers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like they're inside your heart and they help to pull the chamber in to contract the blood.
But if you did a scan, wouldn't they say there's something physically wrong with you? In the movie, they say there's nothing physically wrong with her.
Oh, that's a good point. Except
She
like,
just gave up.
okay, but like there is like a physical phenomenon like where it's like stress and like literal heartbreak
Sure.
can occur.
But they make a point of saying
Yes.
there's nothing
No.
physically wrong
I
with her.
thought in the end, didn't they equate it to Padme was killed essentially by Anakin then, in the sense that like
No.
he weakened her because it was said to him.
No, I think that was Palpatine that was lying to
just
him.
lying. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And also it causes, everyone brings this up, it causes a contradiction with Return of the Jedi because Leia says she remembers her mom, but she died.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
that seems pretty
Luke
obvious
asked
to
her
me.
about her mom, and she's like, I don't remember her. She died when I was young, but she always seemed sad. Unless Leia has the greatest memory and remembered coming out of the womb what her mother was like.
Maybe there's like force visions of like Padme while she's pregnant or something like that.
George Lucas just forgot.
Okay.
He just forgot.
Okay.
I think he's even said that.
Okay. Well, in fairness, if that's the only thing, is that's like for the most part, like he hasn't contradicted too much. There's been like
No.
bad interpretations.
That's probably the worst. That's probably the worst continuity error. I'm assuming. Like he remembered to have Obi-Wan pick up the lightsaber from Anakin, which I would have forgot to do.
He
that.
had C-3PO's memory wiped.
Yeah,
But
they were completely useless in these movies. They did nothing.
yes.
Yeah. They didn't need to be in these
Fan
movies.
service is what they were there for.
But I mean, Anakin met Owen Lars. Like, if he was searching the galaxy for his heirs, or I don't know, if he was in control of the Empire, don't you think he would have wanted to cut loose ends by getting rid of Owen, whether he knew Luke was there or not?
Yeah, but they weren't super tight. He might have not. Well, I guess because Anakin doesn't know the kids are alive. He doesn't know until Empire Strikes Back when the Emperor tells him they're alive.
Yeah.
So and like we didn't talk about this in Attack of the Clones, but like there's Owen, and then they talk to each other once, and then that's it. I feel like Owen could have probably been worked better into the prequels. He could have been more of like a brother character as opposed to just like, hey, I'm here. Remember me? I die. I get turned into a skeleton.
Well, I mean, I guess they probably had to set him up at some points for the end of this movie. You can't just like, well, you probably still could have, I guess, like literally just handed Luke off to like who we know as the audience to be Owen and Beru.
It literally could have been just Obi-Wan saying, "I know where to bring Luke," and it would have been like he has a cousin, and
Yeah,
or
but
whatever,
it was important that Beru and Uncle Owen knew Anakin because they mentioned in New Hope that they knew the father. He's got so much of his father in him which is in hindsight a terrible thing to say because he murdered children.
Yeah,
So-
their only experience as far as the movies are concerned, it was him wiping out an entire race of people.
Did they know he did that though?
It's true,
Yeah.
maybe not, but like
I think all they know is
But
that
that's
he
even
recovered-
worse. If it's from Attack of the Clones, he's just like his father, a whiny little bitch with a rat tail on the side of his head.
I like that.
The rat tail?
Sure, it's different.
It's different. Don't mean I like it though.
Weird Al had it, so.
Well, yeah, because he was copying this movie.
No, I still don't know what I think about this movie. Like, I definitely, of the trilogy, I put Phantom Menace in the bottom for sure. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say that too.
Attack of the Clones. I think I would pick Revenge of the Sith more because there was a lot more to watch. Like, if I had to choose which one I want to rewatch, it would be that one already.
Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, because
Okay.
there was a lot going on. I want to like pick up some more subtle clues and stuff. So,
Yeah. There's a lot of it. It's like,
but Attack of the Clones felt just more like an average movie. Like, had action scenes, had a little bit of bad romance,
Like,
and
yeah.
some creepiness, and
a summer turn off your brain movie. I don't know. Like,
I don't think. I guess I was going into it thinking it was the worst possible movie. I would say I didn't think it was the worst for sure. Attack of the Clones didn't feel that bad to me.
I've actually changed my mind, and I think Phantom Menace is actually the worst now.
Yeah, a lot of people ranked it as the worst movie, but
Yeah. But yeah, after watching them, like, that was one thing I was sure of. Phantom Menace is definitely the worst. Because it just has things that annoy me more. Like, it needed characters, and also the plot needed to matter going forward in the trilogy, and it doesn't. It's filler. It's like if someone made, like, a prequel novelization, it would be Phantom Menace.
I guess, I mean, all it does is set up characters, but doesn't even do it.
It doesn't even set the characters up, and a lot of the characters set up die, and they never talk about him again.
Well, I mean, it sets up Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin.
Well, it sets up Padme
And
as
Jar Jar.
It sets up Padme as a queen, who in the next movie isn't a queen anymore. And it doesn't really set up Obi-Wan because he has no character and does nothing. And none of the things that happen in this movie affect him, other than he takes Anakin as his Padawan. But you could have just opened Attack of the Clones, and it's like, oh, there they are.
Yeah.
Their apprentice and mentor or whatever. So yeah, like, Phantom Menace is completely unnecessary. And I know that's a movie you really like, but objectively, narratively, in the trilogy, it has the least import going forward.
But it's funny because I don't know how I would rank between 1 and 2 now. Because I feel like it's like when I watch 2, it's like I feel like a weird different kind of nostalgia. I don't know what causes it. I don't know what to equate it to. So it's like the appeal for both of them is purely nostalgia, I think, for me.
Okay.
So I don't even know how but again, like, Revenge of the Sith is definitely my favorite of this trilogy.
I think it's objectively the best.
Yes.
Like, personal
Yeah.
preference aside, it's the best made, it's the best written, it's the best acted, sort of. Everyone's pretty good except for Anakin. Well, actually, Hayden Christensen isn't actually that bad in the movie. It's just he's with really good actors, and that makes his performance stand out a lot. Like, the contrast.
Yeah.
If he was also with, like, kind of a equally talented actor, it probably would have been a little bit more fine. But so yeah, I just realized we barely talked about this movie. We're just ranking the old ones.
Yeah.
So
well, we're kind of wrapping things up in that sense that we've watched now the first 6 movies.
yeah,
The originals and the prequels, in the sense that it's wrapping up the original story. So, yeah, I guess I don't really have a lot to talk about in this. So Yoda, I do want to talk a little bit about Yoda. So, again, the fighting, a little funny to me.
I don't like it either.
It felt a lot out of character for him to just give up and go, I gotta leave now.
I felt that too. It's like, yeah, gotta go into exile. What? You're not
like,
gonna
that
fight
doesn't-
anymore?
That's what I mean. Like, the Jedi just seemed like idiots. Like, what happened? Like, I thought Yoda was supposed to be this super wise, and he's just like, I gotta go to exile now. It's like,
Yeah.
what the thing?
2 things. The fight, there was one thing about it that I kind of really liked, and I don't know if George Lucas did this intentionally or not. If he did, I think it's probably one of the smartest writing things he did. But it's literally like Palpatine is literally tearing down the Senate by throwing parts of the Senate at Yoda. And then,
Ooh, I never thought about that. Ooh, if that was intentional, yeah, that's pretty
if
good.
that was intentional, like
It wasn't.
I'm actually gonna go agree with that.
I was
If it
gonna-
wasn't, if it was intentional,
Lemon
ooh, if it
But
wasn't,
like during that fight, I was there, like literally, like it's in the Senate, and he's like literally destroying it. And then they had, like, I don't know, is it the scene right after or right before where Palpatine has the big announcement where he's forming the Empire, and so it's
yeah.
I
When he makes that announcement, it's the only time that Padme does her job and actually goes to a meeting.
there's no threat on her life anymore.
Yeah, sure.
I do have to no. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, and I just want to speak about Yoda. I feel like the exile, there's like almost 2 reasons for it. There's one reason where it's like, it's literally the Jedi kind of have to go into hiding. But 2 is he's failed, so it's almost like he's punishing himself.
But it's like the fight ends and he's just like, well, I couldn't beat him, so I'm going to leave now.
Well,
like, to me, it's like, it seems like Yoda should have fought until literally either he died or Palpatine.
I mean, what's there to lose at this point? All the Jedi are going to be fucking dead, essentially, anyway.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, but at least you can wipe out...
I mean, they both had to survive, though, for the sake of the...
Yeah.
For sure, that's fair. But it's almost like they could have been separated somehow, or... Like, I didn't picture Yoda losing. I think they still could have made it so he won in some way, but then Palpatine escapes, or you know what I mean. It could have been something like that, but
they could have done something to make Palpatine seem more slimy, or the
parallels between Palpatine and Hitler, though, like just in terms of his rise to power,
that was intentional. Probably,
I think it was because, like, I mean, if you think about how he did it, he broke down the political structure. He got into power by technicality, like it was kind of like those parallels, whatever. But what surprised me the most was Palpatine showing his power in combat. I pictured him almost exclusively like a plotter,
like a schemer in the background.
Very powerful, clearly. But it was interesting. But his character, he doesn't seem like a powerful Jedi. Can you call him a Jedi? What do you Sith? Sorry. He seems obviously like a powerful Sith, but he doesn't look like a powerful Sith in combat. Like, it felt weird. Like he was just like, it was very much like the Darth Vader fighting with it. Like he has this in A New Hope. You have this air about him that's like he's terrifying, but then when he goes to fight, it's like
it's kind of like how I didn't ever want Yoda to use a lightsaber. I don't need the Emperor to use a lightsaber. Yeah. I think they just did it because they're like, oh, we'll finally get to see it. It's like that's not what made that character interesting. It was his scheming, and his scheming is fantastic. Like I want to bring attention to this because like every scene with Anakin and Palpatine, especially one where they go to the opera and they stare at
an opera, yeah.
But they're staring at a giant ball of water.
It's a squid opera.
Is that true? I never knew what they were doing, but like I think that scene is like really, really good. Like,
yes,
their dialogue is really interesting. It's like evil is like a perspective. Like like everything where they're together. It's like you can see him manipulating Anakin. And it's not like Anakin immediately gives in. There's parts where he's still fighting that like good in him. Like when he finds out what he is and he brings out the lightsaber and he turns him into Mace. Like there's still a good person in there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Still a good person in there, but he's also really desperate to save his wife. So it's like there's a real struggle there personally that wasn't in any of the first two prequels.
I did like the irony of like it's the classic you know the future, you try to change it and you become the future. So like he ended up being the death of her essentially. I think
it's
right?
like it's irony. It's like a Faustian bargain. But I also like that scene where Mace tells him like, no, go wait in the council room, and there's that scene of like cutting between him in the council room and Padme back at their house, and there's no dialogue, it's just cutting back and forth, and I like that scene because you can kind of read into what it means. And I always read into it like it's like this is like a pivotal moment in his life where it's like if he just stayed there in that council room, things could have been fine. Padme could have lived because that's what him going to the dark side is what kills her eventually. So if he had just stayed there, things could have been different. But then you see that single tear, the Hayden Christensen tear, and you're like, oh, he's giving into that fear of loss that Yoda warned him about. Yeah. And he's giving into that dark side. And then that's how Star Wars happens. If he had just stayed there, Star Wars wouldn't have happened. And I think that's really cool. Like, I like it was completely silent. Like, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, the more I think back on it, like, there were a lot of really interesting scenes. Like, there's a lot of philosophical discussion that I was surprised by. Not that I agree with most of it,
no, but it's interesting.
But it's interesting.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you guys off about something that'll probably piss you off a little bit.
What about the Squid Opera?
So yeah, it was at the Galaxy's Opera House, and they were watching the Mon Calamari Aquatic Ballet performing Squid Lake.
Akbar? Is that Akbar's race? The Mon Calamari, or no?
Okay, I'm on Wikipedia right now. It is.
Yeah. Well, it was so far away I couldn't tell if that was Akbar, a bunch of Akbars or not. Well, thanks, Chad. Now I know. Can you find out where the fight in Phantom Menace took place now? Because I tried to Google it and I couldn't find a single answer. Did no one ever ask about Phantom Menace where they're fighting? That's crazy to me.
Okay, go on. Go. You're philosophical. Sorry,
I don't have anything to add. I just thought there was a lot of discussion that was.
Yeah.
It was you could tell it wasn't wasn't the best writing in the world, but there was a lot of components to it that were
there was more thought put into it.
Yeah. For sure. It was almost like George Lucas put his best effort into this.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. He's not the greatest director. He's not the greatest writor, but he put his best effort.
I would definitely give him the most improved award at the very least. Because, watching them all in a row, this is he tried to make more than just eye candy. He tried to put some more into it. It's kind of poignant, but
what's interesting. So you look at Phantom Menace. It was childish,
shallow,
and then you get a little more depth, but a bad attempt at it.
Yeah,
a lot more flash, more fight scenes in Attack of the Clones, and then he improves on those two things people complain about, and he improves on it and puts out Revenge of the Sith and recovers the trilogy.
Yeah.
So I certainly wouldn't call him a bad director in the sense that he's the worst thing in the world.
No, I think he's just out of touch, essentially. Because he directed all of these movies. We haven't mentioned much about directing. He directed them and he wrote all of them. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the original, he wrote and directed the first one and then passed them off, writing and directing. So, and he didn't direct anything since the original Star Wars when he directed Phantom Menace. So that's 22-something years where he didn't write or direct or do really anything of that caliber. And he had a lot of people throughout those years essentially praise him and be like, "Oh, you made Star Wars. You're the best." So I think it was a situation of his ego was super high, and it's been documented that when he was making these movies, no one would ever say no to him. So if he had a choice, I think Jar Jar is probably the most famous example where it's I have this idea for Jar Jar. No one on the set would say no to him because he's George Lucas.
Right.
So I think a lot of the reason that the movies are the way they are is rust, because he hadn't directed anything in a long time, and also no one would say, "Okay, stop." Think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But by the third time he got to the third one, he was starting to learn.
I did you had sent a clip of it's so much funnier now, but a clip of someone did a parody of George Lucas finding Hayden Christensen, or did you? Yeah, you sent it. He found he watched the kid on Goosebumps or whatever.
I don't think this.
Who sent me that?
I didn't.
It was in our messenger chat. I thought.
What was it?
It was It was someone making a parody of George Lucas watching Hayden Christensen on Goosebumps.
He was on Goosebumps?
Yeah.
Okay.
And geez, I hope I'm not dreaming all of this.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
If I can't find the video, this is gonna get cut. But
it's I'll have to send it to you. But basically, it was Hayden Christensen sitting on there on the couch, watching Goosebumps. Hayden Christensen, George Lucas, sorry, the back of his head, watching Hayden Christensen in Goosebumps, and it's oh, those guy's a pretty good actor.
Who's this kid?
You guys are pulling something.
I like his look. Wow, I'm so taken by his acting ability.
I'm lever or something.
I sense dark unrest in this boy.
And it's like that, and there's a little dark element, and he's like, "Oh, I guess you can have some dark elements too." I thought it was a really good clip. I should find it.
The George Lucas impressions always make me laugh because that's actually how he sounds.
Yeah,
really mumbly.
Yeah, I've never actually heard him speak. Oddly enough, I just heard the parody. So
okay,
I have no recollection of this.
Let's not worry about
it must not have been in the
chat.
I must have come across it, but I definitely gotta send it to you guys. But it was there were a lot of really, it was really well done in the sense that it was it was just I'll have to call my secretary in the morning and tell her we got to get this kid in here, and I found my Annie. It's like that sort of thing. Yeah. It was really funny.
What did you guys think of? Okay, Chewbacca.
Oh, I forgot he was even in the movie. He was there.
It was fan service.
Yeah.
I don't see the connection necessarily.
But Chewbacca
seems a a little more rogue, like Han Solo.
yeah,
but then he's like more
Yeah.
officialness. So I was like,
There's no rogues in this movie. It's all just Jedi stuff. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad they didn't bring Han Solo.
apparently
Which
they
I was
were
surprised.
originally going to.
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, it seems like something they would do.
They were supposed
but-
to bring in like a 10-year-old Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then George decided no, or someone told him no. I'm like,
First time someone said no. Good
someone
decision.
said no. There was also supposed to be a scene, and it's kind of obvious in the movie, of Qui-Gon as a ghost coming back because they shot the scene, and it's in the movie of Qui-Gon as a ghost, but then they never shot the scene.
I kind of like that because it kind of set it up as like it explains why in the original trilogy there's not like this host of like all these like Force ghosts. There's only like 3 people who ever learned how to do it because it was like Qui-Gon was like kind of like the first who kind of caught on to
Yeah,
it.
but it would have made more impact if you actually saw Qui-Gon. It
Oh,
might have
for sure.
actually made his character worth a damn in the end if he actually saw
Yeah.
him, because he's only name dropped once in each subsequent movie, but it's just crazy that they had the idea to do that scene. They shot the scene alluding to it, but then they still kept it in the movie and didn't shoot the other part. Why didn't you just cut the part of talking about him as a ghost then?
I guess yeah, you could have kept the scene and just not mentioned Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And it would have like set up for the ghosts appearing, Force ghosts in A New Hope.
Yeah, I guess. I never thought of it that way, but still, it's like, doesn't change the fact that Qui-Gon did nothing in the end.
Yeah.
One thing that I forgot to mention is a powerful scene. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but just like when Palpatine gives the order to assassinate
66.
Order 66.
Yeah, that was like
I was-
very well thought through and like it was very interesting, right? Like it was just
That's
like
what Attack of the Clones is all building to. That
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it makes sense of a lot of things, but it's like Palpatine really like
he was literally behind it all.
He was like behind it all, but like criminal mastermind to the extreme.
Oh yeah, to a ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
to
and we
account for
saw it
everything.
in Return of the Jedi. I was impressed with that.
Yeah.
I remember saying like
That's
wow,
a little bit
he
more
knew that was
reasonable.
coming. Like he knew the attack, and Luke was like, "Oh crap!" Like
In Return of the Jedi, it's a little bit more reasonable. He just essentially made an anonymous tip. Essentially, this is in the prequels. It's like so meticulous.
Yeah.
it's like
I was like, that was a very powerful scene. It was kind of like because you knew where it eventually led. It was almost like I thought it was directed really well in the sense that
Sure, yeah.
like you knew where it was going to go. There was no need for a lot of dialogue in it. It was just like 5 minutes of almost silence in respect of
no character being like the clones have turned on us.
yeah. It
Yeah.
it didn't need those stupid lame things. It was just story told just from those scenes.
Yeah,
it was like
good.
very powerful.
It was yeah, one of the I thought most
Yeah.
powerful.
So
I was going to bring that up, but any thoughts on Obi-Wan fighting Grievous?
I like the line where he shoots him with the gun and then throws the gun away, and it's like, oh, how uncivilized. That's like the most Obi-Wan quote I think maybe ever. Because a lot of the movie is him saying cliched action one-liners, like, here we go again, this should be fun. Like, a lot of stuff like that, and that's the only line where I'm like, yeah, Obi-Wan would say that.
I liked when they were like literally in hand-to-hand combat, and he kicks him and realizes he's a robot
yeah,
made
it's
out
like
of metal.
oh yeah, I did like that. Yeah.
Apparently he's not fully a robot. He's like an alien.
He's like a cyborg. Like,
Yeah. I always thought he was just a robot, but I guess he's just a cyborg.
I thought he had like one of the like most like gruesome deaths where it's like his literally like his eyes are exploding with fire and that like
Yeah, I kind of like Grievous. I like his design.
I
Grievous
don't
is
know if
cool.
I like it.
I do, and I like it's weird that he has a cough. But I liked he had a little bit more going on as opposed to the other generic villains. He collected lightsabers, which was kind of neat.
The one thing
He had a
that
cape.
this goes to like some of my least favorite parts of all of the movies. Well, maybe not in the originals, but the fact that like villains are just like disposably brought in, like Darth Maul, perfect example. What the heck was he thinking to bring in this cool character and just get rid of it?
Yeah.
We'll move on to something. There's like how many villains that we just only see for the fight and then it's gone again?
3,
Like we saw
4.
Grievous a little bit throughout, but like I had no idea who this guy was. It made no sense
Yeah,
to me.
I guess you could throw Django in that too, because you don't really get much
Yeah.
with Django, and he dies.
Boba.
Yeah.
Well, Bubba's
Like
just a
it
kid. He's
sets
not
up
really
for
a villain.
Bubba, but it's the setup for Bubba clearly.
in the original trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't make Django a deep villain. He still gets.
Yeah.
He still does nothing and gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
But at least in the originals, there was Darth Vader. He was set up as the guy. This is who you're going to fight.
It had focus.
Yes, but and I noticed this in mostly in Attack of the Clones and in this one too. But like it just seemed to be a lot of villains just brought up just to fight, to have a cool fight scene, and then gone again.
Yeah.
It would have been better if Darth Maul had been the guy right to the very end, died at maybe instead of Dooku they had Maul instead of Dooku, and then Maul could have fought in the second movie. Epic fight, Yoda, the whole works.
Yeah.
He doesn't die, but he dies in the third.
Even
they had to replace that character. It would have been much better.
Like swap where Grievous dies with Maul, like halfway through the third movie, kind of.
Yeah,
like that'd be
and
fine.
Then so Grievous, Dooku, those all could have been combined into Maul, kept Maul throughout. It would have been significantly better.
A lot of people have said that about the movie.
But and I guess that's where like you can't help but, even if I'm watching this thing pretty loosely, like you can't help but notice major things like that. It's like after a while I just got to the point I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is anymore. Like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Like even when Grievous comes up, I had no idea who that was. I'd kind of seen him throughout, but
he's in the crawl, mentioned in the crawl. That's the only way I think you would know.
Yeah, and even then, like the name is new to me. If I had to mention Vader, I knew who that was, or Maul. Like I know these Palpatine, I know these names, but like Grievous is like, who the frick is Grievous? I know who he is, but that stuff.
Well, I mean, but they bring him in right away, at least.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's like
he has dialogue unlike Maul.
It's true, but like it's almost like they've set up 5 villains that everyone's going, but then it's like Obi-Wan's going to take care of like 3 of those, and then it's like it's not linear.
Yeah.
It's,
and in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, it follows a formula of Obi-Wan goes off on his own and fights generic villain. Like I totally agree. Like they had a big villain problem in these prequels.
Whereas like I'm still surprised in the originals how I thought Vader was the be all end all. He was the villain. I didn't even know who Palpatine was. Remember, like when you asked who Palpatine, I had no idea who that was. Like that wasn't important. It was everyone always talks about Vader, and now it's like, I'm surprised by society that I guess like I've been given this picture of Star Wars and it was completely wrong. Like you can tell by my predictions.
And not completely. Well, Vader's still in it.
I got some. No, for sure. I got some interesting, or like I obviously got some accurate pieces, but I guess I was just way more surprised with how everything went. I thought it was gonna be very linear. Vader's the enemy, and that was it.
It makes me want to think of when we did like our primer episode. We talked about watching the episodes in whatever order. So I talked about the machete order, and it was specifically for Darth Vader's storyline.
Yeah.
And I mentioned watching A New Hope, Empire, and then watching the prequels. And then watching 6, because I just want you to think about watching it in that order. You would see
there's an arc.
All his arc of like his motivations for how he became who he was, and then why he kind of immediately like you see his motivation for the flip in 6.
Yeah. His arc I think is actually fantastic. It's just the execution of said arc, like being super whiny and bitchy. Murdering a bunch of kids. Like, we're supposed to feel sympathy for this guy or understand him a bit, and we do, but it's like I feel like some aspects got pushed way too far.
Yeah.
But the arc itself is interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like he tried to, this might sound silly, but it's almost like he was trying to be too accurate in the sense that like you have the whiny teenager, you have the kid, like it was almost trying to be too accurate with it. It would have been better to, it's
like he was doing stereotypes of what those types of characters would be.
Accurate wasn't the right word, but just like he was like, okay, he's a teenager, well he's going to be whiny, he's going to be emotional, he's going to be,
he's a kid, he has to have a bunch of catchphrases and
like I still feel like Phantom Menace, my guess is he watched Home Alone when he was trying to figure out, like, what should we make this movie about? Or
he watched Jingle All the Way and saw the kid.
Yeah, that type of thing. That's a 90s, like, theme all through the 90s.
Home Alone
so many movies like that.
Home Alone's a better movie than Phantom Menace.
We can all agree on that. Yeah, it's more entertaining.
But meaning like the '90s kid. Well, we need to have a cute kid in this movie.
Yeah, they'll get the kid demographic.
Yeah, it's like Anyway.
Yeah.
Every child had nightmares of Darth Maul, but watch that.
Yeah. I saw him on a lunch box the first time I saw Darth Maul. I'm like, ugh, I'm scared of lunch now.
That's the other thing. Like Darth Maul and Darth Vader. If I knew to name two characters in Star Wars, I could have named those two. I thought they were the same, but I could have named those two. Could have named Luke Skywalker, maybe Princess Leia. I would not have there's so many, but Maul is barely in it, and it's just
he doesn't
he
does nothing and then dies.
There's like Boba Fett too. Like I could have named Boba Fett. I could have named all of the non-iconic characters.
Yeah,
and then the main characters.
Can I give you a slight spoiler for something? Are you ever going to watch the Clone Wars TV show?
I probably will dabble.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
No, it's okay. Go for it. I don't care if they spoil that.
So Maul never comes back and. He never comes back in the movies, and even in our Phantom Menace episode, we talk about he got stabbed, he got cut in half and thrown down a hole at him. He's not coming back. He comes back in the Clone Wars TV show. He has robot legs, and he's way better done in the TV show than he is in.
Really?
Yes, but that does not excuse these movies.
I think knowing that makes me I've known that I haven't watched the Clone Wars, but it makes me want to watch that TV show.
That's why I watch it because I'm because they have set up for cool character. That's the thing. Clone Wars takes the setup that's done in the movies and then fleshes them out into actually good characters.
So going through my list of what movies were good, everyone ranked the Clone Wars really low.
Mm-hmm. I would rank it low too.
Okay. I was just
no.
curious.
I'm not. I didn't mean not Attack of the Clones. Clone Wars, the TV show.
Yeah, there's an animated
show called Clone Wars.
They rank that really low.
That's ridiculous. That's one of the best pieces of Star Wars media.
Wow. Okay, because it was because most of them had Rogue One included, and a bunch of others, and Clone Wars was really low.
The TV show is great. They've got 9 seasons.
Wow. Okay.
It's like everything that's happened in the prequels is done better.
What you might be thinking of is
the movie.
It had a movie called The Clone Wars.
There was a movie called The Clone Wars.
That must be it.
That was a movie that was supposed to be a long pilot for the TV show.
Yes.
But George Lucas decided, no, let's put it in theaters. And as a theatrical movie, everyone hated it because it was more of something made for TV and not for a movie theater. No, that movie is
I must have.
That movie's actually not bad if you watch in the context. This is a pilot for a TV show, but as a theatrical movie, it's not good. But no, the show is really good and really fleshed out and well done.
Near the end of the movie, we see Padme and Anakin both going through they're in their hospital scenes, and it's quite I like how it was contrasted. Padme's all in light, and Anakin's now
in this
literally in the
robotic,
dark side.
Yeah, he gets put in the helmet.
Yeah,
and we're gonna talk about the thing that everyone talks about in this movie.
I don't know if
around this scene. Come on, you've seen the memes. You must have.
When you say it, I'll probably know what you're talking about.
No.
Oh, yeah, I thought that's what you were going to say. Yeah. It was a little
when
bit.
When he found out about
Padme.
Yeah.
And he's in the center of the frame. He's like, no. I don't have much to say about it because people have been making fun of that for the last 17 years. But yeah, that's up on the same scale of what. Except that was a hidden gem we found, but everyone knows about the no, because how can you not? It's so embarrassing.
So I've already, since we've started these 6 movies, I've already come across a bunch of Star Wars memes and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I see why they do that, and it's a whole new world to me. It's quite interesting. I kind of want to go back. One thing I do want to go back is and watch all the Robot Chicken Star Wars sketches. I bet you I'm going to...
I've done it the other day, actually.
Okay.
I love it. I love them so much.
I want to watch them. I should have watched them first. No, I probably shouldn't have.
No, you
shouldn't
have.
I want to watch them now and see what...
I think you'll appreciate a lot.
I think I will too, yeah.
And I don't want to watch Star Wars anything until... The only thing I'm watching Star Wars related is for this podcast. I'm so done.
I'm just realizing the one that I thought that never made sense to me. Palpatine was like, well, they're not going to blow up the Death Star. like
then
that
blow it,
scene,
and they blow it up again.
and like I obviously that didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, okay, the Death Star must be pretty powerful, whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's so much funnier.
Yeah, you see them building it at the end of this movie too,
Yeah, so that was okay.
which is weird time wise.
Please tell me they don't bring it back in the actual sequels. Do they make another Death Star even after it's failed
Can't tell
twice?
Well, I was just gonna say, did you appreciate not having these Death Star dogfights?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
There's still dogfights. I don't mind the dogfights. I just found the one in A New Hope a little weird.
I like the one in this movie. I think it starts the movie
Yes.
pretty strongly.
Oh, I liked how all the like Clone Wars ships looked like the Star Destroyers in the original trilogy. Like you can see where the clones eventually evolve into stormtroopers.
Yeah, I always found that kind of interesting. They straight up just evolve into stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter Cushing's, it wasn't actually Peter, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
In that scene where they're building the Death Star, little cameo. I liked that.
Was he even alive when they made this
No,
movie?
it wasn't him. It was a different actor.
Oh. They probably should have done that for Rogue One too. Just put a different actor in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we gonna watch Rogue One? Not right away, but like
Eventually, maybe.
I would recommend.
I've heard everyone talk about it. It's a great movie.
I like it.
It ranked high.
I've never seen it.
Well, we have to watch it now then.
I'll watch it. I'm just not doing it after this. After we're done with these movies, I'm taking a fucking break from Star Wars.
No, for sure. Like we'll go through some other stuff, but eventually I want to watch Rogue One.
Well, I was going to say
Sure.
whether we do it for the podcast or not, I'd recommend you watch it.
I'll save it.
Yeah,
I'll save it.
Okay.
And you're gonna save it too.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it beforehand.
So I mean, we can, if there's anything else to wrap up, we can, but I just kind of want to talk a little bit about the sequels though. So what's coming up.
Sure.
So in terms of like what I'm expecting, I have zero expectations.
Yeah, it hasn't been around in pop culture as long as the other ones to get anything from it. So
Yeah. I'm excited for, I don't know the guy's name. What is his name? He's a really good actor. He's one of the villains in the new
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. Yeah.
I'm excited to find out about that because he's a great actor. I'm hoping that they actually set up a proper villain this time. That's my hope in the sequels. Like he's something that maintains. He's new. He's fresh, but he's very powerful, cool, edgy, whatever. So hopefully that's a thing. I don't know what to think about Skywalker. Like the next what's her name?
Rey.
Because she's the face of the worst of all the movies, so I'm kind of curious about that a little bit. But
who else do you think is going to be in the movie? Do you think any returning characters?
Obi-Wan will be back.
Obi-Wan.
Oh, sorry, not Obi-Wan. Sorry. No, Obi-Wan's in some more movies that come out though, right? He's in the series that's coming out.
He's in the series, but he's not anything else.
I don't think so.
No.
What was I thinking of then?
He's been a bunch of.
Are you trying to say Han Solo? I was about to say Han.
It is Han, depending on who you ask. No, sorry. I was thinking. I must be thinking of him coming back in the new series. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah, which is coming out soon.
Yeah.
So
it'll be out by the time this episode.
It's a
comes
good
out.
primer that we did all these, so any one of us could just go watch it.
I do think
but-
I'm gonna guess Luke Skywalker's coming back, right?
Can't say anything, but yeah.
Princess Leia. They'll both be very old. Han Solo may or may not come back.
Oh, you have to note Carrie Fisher, who plays Princess Leia. She's passed away.
Yeah, she died after the second movie.
Okay.
But okay, yeah.
I knew she passed away, but I didn't know it was like after the second of the sequels. You mean, obviously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Last Jedi.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. C-3PO and R2. I hope they're not in the next ones. I hope Jar Jar, dies a horrible death in one of their sequels. That'd be cool.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Jar Jar in Revenge of the Sith. He's in 2 scenes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And he never talks.
Yeah.
It's like blink and you miss him.
Yeah, I noticed, but that was good. That was
It was good. Good use of Jar Jar.
Yeah. That's almost how I would have appreciated fan service characters.
Like how Grand Moff Tarkin showed up?
Like that would have been kind of like, oh, cool.
It's not like they walk in this scene and there's like a big spotlight on them. It's like, look who that is.
Yeah. No, instead, like C-3PO and R2 in this whole prequel series, they could have just dropped them completely.
Oh, yeah.
They could have just had one of the robots. Or like in Phantom Menace, when he talked about him building C-3PO, that could have been enough. If they were going to do it, you know what I mean? Like just talk about building them.
I still would
and
have
that
preferred
been like cool.
none at all.
For sure, but it's still, or someone else building C-3PO. Maybe that. Maybe C-3PO's in a junk pile in the shop in the original. Something like that.
Even still, just keep him in the original trilogy. Don't even put him in the prequels. There's no need.
So, are those two like? Do a lot of people? I know R2D2 is pretty famous. Like I've seen little statues of him all over the place, but I haven't really seen a lot of C-3PO. Are they?
Oh yeah, he's famous. Yeah.
Yeah, but like obviously those were fan favorite characters. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well,
from the originals.
Well, from the original, when you first saw the movies, they're like the two characters you were like really first introduced to. So.
Yeah, which they're my least favorite characters. I think.
I don't think they're more than like Jar Jar. You like Jar Jar more than them?
There's some of my least favorite. Jar Jar is the worst character of all the whole series so far.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would disagree with you.
The first 10 minutes, I thought he was okay, but then, or not even.
Yeah.
We should hurry up because I don't think I deleted the last video that was on there.
Okay.
So
Crap.
No, not to rush it, but like.
So our next couple movies, we're starting the sequels.
Yeah, we're almost done. Only 3 more movies.
3 more movies. In terms of where do you guys sit, looking at the trilogies, where does this sit on the scale for you guys?
What do you mean?
Like original, prequel, sequel, like which one's worst and which one's best?
Can I can't. Do you want me to include my thoughts on the sequels?
Well, just meaning like, are the originals better than the sequels? Are the prequels better than the sequels? Like, where would you rank the 3 trilogies?
For me, it's originals, sequels, and then prequels dead last.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually do.
But you do like Revenge of the Sith.
It's one movie I like, but I dislike Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
What about you?
It's hard for me to say.
There's nostalgia element to the prequels.
No, not even for the nostalgia elements, because I really like Force Awakens, and I'm a fan of Last Jedi, but the 9th one, I can't.
But that's still 2 out of 3, though.
That's 2 out of 3. Yeah.
This is almost the opposite of the prequels, then, in the sense that there's 2 bad movies and a good movie, and then at least to most people,
well,
this one, there's 2
Last
good movies
Jedi is very divisive. You either love it or you hate it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a chance I could. Oh, Last Jedi. Sorry.
Last Jedi.
That's the controversial one. Whereas Rise of Skywalker, everyone hates that one movie.
Yeah, everyone hates that, but Rise of Skywalker is like you either defend it or it's the worst thing you've ever seen.
Okay. Well, we'll have to find out.
Yep.
Yeah. Next week or 2 weeks from now, whenever these go up, I don't care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Wait, what?
No.
Can we do that, please? Or no? Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. No!